Good evening, everyone. Let me start by saying something that might surprise you. Your brain is not built for happiness, it's built for survival, and yet, within that ancient framework lies a powerful capacity for transformation if we know how to activate it. In the next few minutes, I want to walk you through 5 scientifically grounded habits that fundamentally reshaped my life, not over months, not over years, but in just 1 week. And no, this is not about hacks, gimmicks, or overnight miracles. This is about leveraging how your nervous system actually works, the principles of neuroplasticity, attention, and physiology, to generate sustainable change. Let's get into it. Habit 1. Morning light before screen light. The science, the human circadian rhythm, the internal clock regulating sleep, mood, and metabolism, depends primarily on light. Specifically, sunlight hitting the retina early in the day signals to the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus that it's time to be alert. This increases cortisol in a healthy, activating way and sets a timer for melatonin in release about 14-16 hours later. The shift: instead of reaching for my phone first thing, I made it a non-negotiable habit to step outside within 30 minutes of waking up, even on cloudy days. Within 3 days, my energy levels stabilized, my sleep improved, and my focus sharpened because my biology was finally synced with natural time. The application: expose your eyes, without sunglasses, to sunlight for 5-10 minutes in the morning. It's free, it's natural, and it regulates the very core of your physiology. Habit 2. Controlled cold exposure. The science, cold exposure, like a cold shower or ice bath, activates the sympathetic nervous system, triggering a release of norepinephrine and dopamine, both crucial for mood, alertness, and motivation. It also trains the brain to tolerate stress by activating prefrontal control over limbic reactivity. In simpler terms, you become less reactive and more resilient. The shift: I started ending my showers with 60 seconds of cold water. It was uncomfortable, but the effect was almost immediate: increased alertness, elevated mood, and a sense of accomplishment that spilled over into the rest of the day. The application: you don't need a fancy ice bath. Try 30-60 seconds of cold water at the end of your shower. Your nervous system will recalibrate towards strength instead of avoidance. Habit 3. Focused work blocks using ultradian rhythms. The science, your brain naturally oscillates between high and low alertness in 90-minute cycles, known as ultradian rhythms. When you respect this rhythm and work in deep focus blocks, you engage the prefrontal cortex, the seat of decision-making and executive control, more effectively. The shift: I began scheduling 2 90-minute blocks of deep work each day with 0 distractions, no phone, no notifications. I rested between blocks to allow recovery, aligning with my natural mental energy curve. The application: design your day around your brain's biology. Work in 90-minute sprints with clear start and stop times. Don't grind, cycle. Habit 4. Non-sleep deep rest. NSDR or yoga nidra. The science, NSDR techniques guide the brain into theta brainwave states, allowing dopaminergic circuitry to reset. This facilitates recovery, enhances learning, and improves sleep quality. It also allows access to autonomic balance, reducing stress and promoting neuroplasticity. The shift: I committed to just 10-20 minutes of NSDR in the early afternoon. I felt refreshed, less anxious, and more focused, without needing caffeine. The effects were almost uncanny. I was calmer, more regulated, and mentally sharper. The application: search for NSDR or Yoga Nidra audio online. Lie down, close your eyes, and follow the guidance. It's not sleep, but it's profoundly restorative. Habit 5. Daily dopamine management through effort before reward. The science, dopamine is not just about pleasure, it's about motivation and drive, but it functions best when tied to effort, not immediate gratification. When we constantly chase fast dopamine, scrolling, sugar, instant entertainment, we deplete the system and dull our natural motivation. The shift: I reversed the reward structure in my day. Instead of starting with dopamine, dense activities, I trained myself to earn my dopamine through exercise, focused work, or learning. Before any leisure, the result, my motivation became internally generated and my enjoyment of simple pleasures increased. The application: practice effort, first behavior, delay gratification. Train your brain to associate dopamine with progress, not passivity. When you wake up in the morning, the very first thing you do can have a big effect on your entire day, and even your health, mood, and sleep at night. One of the most powerful and natural ways to improve how you feel, think, and sleep is to go outside and get sunlight into your eyes early in the day. This simple habit may not sound like much, but it connects deeply to how your brain and body are built to function. Inside your brain, there is a tiny group of cells called the master clock. This clock controls your body's internal time system. It tells you when to feel awake and when to feel sleepy. It helps control your energy levels, your hormones, your body temperature, and even your digestion. This clock needs a daily signal to stay accurate. Without that signal, it can drift off course like a watch that loses track of time, and the most powerful signal to reset that clock is natural light, especially sunlight in the morning. When you go outside and let sunlight hit your eyes, not through a window, not while wearing sunglasses, but with direct light, something amazing happens in your brain. Light enters your eyes and travels to the part of your brain where the clock lives. That clock then sends signals to the rest of your body to say, the day has started. This signal kicks off a number of helpful processes. Your brain begins to raise your level of alertness and focus. Hormones like cortisol, which helps with attention and energy, are released in healthy amounts. Your body temperature begins to rise slowly, preparing you for movement, work, and activity. It's like the engine of your day has been turned on. What's also happening at the same time is that your brain starts a kind of timer for sleep. Once your eyes get enough bright light in the morning, your brain makes a note of the time. It starts counting down, usually for about 14 to 16 hours. After that time, your brain will begin to release another chemical called melatonin, which makes you feel sleepy. So in a strange but fascinating way, the sunlight you get in the morning also helps you fall asleep at night. It tells your body, here's when the day begins, and then it follows with, here's when the day should end. When you don't get this light early in the day, or if you only get indoor light or look at a screen instead, your internal clock doesn't know when to start the day. It becomes confused. This confusion can show up in small but noticeable ways. You might feel tired in the morning, even after a full night of sleep. You may have a hard time focusing or getting motivated. You may find that your mood is lower or that you're more irritable, and at night you may have trouble falling asleep, or you may wake up during the night. That's because your clock never got the right signal to begin with. The good news is that it doesn't take long to start feeling the benefits of morning sunlight. Most people begin to notice a difference in just a few days. After just 1 or 2 mornings of getting sunlight within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking, many people feel more awake during the day and fall asleep more easily at night. They also often feel better emotionally. This is not a placebo or a guess, it's how the brain works. One important thing to understand is that not all light is the same. The light from the sun is very different from the light you get indoors or from a phone or computer screen. Sunlight is much brighter and has a wider range of light wavelengths. In the morning, sunlight contains a type of blue light that is especially good at telling your brain it's time to wake up. This kind of light is hard to get indoors, even if you have all your lights on. Even on cloudy or rainy days, the outdoor light is still stronger and more useful for your brain's clock than indoor light. That's why it's important to step outside, even if only for a few minutes. You don't have to stare directly at the sun, in fact, you shouldn't. But just being outside where your eyes can take in the natural light is enough. You also don't need a lot of time. For most people, 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight in the morning is enough. If it's very cloudy, 15 to 20 minutes may be better, and if you live in a place with long winters and very little sun, you might benefit from a special light box designed to mimic sunlight, but for most people, simply stepping outside first thing in the morning can make a huge difference. Besides helping with energy and sleep, morning sunlight also helps improve mood. Light in the morning helps balance brain chemicals that affect how you feel. One of these is serotonin, which is linked to feelings of well-being and calm. Low levels of sunlight, especially in the winter months, can lead to low serotonin, which is connected to feeling sad or even depressed. By getting natural light in the morning, you're giving your brain what it needs to stay emotionally balanced. Over time, this one habit can lead to other benefits. People who get regular morning sunlight often find it easier to stick to routines. Their eating habits improve because their metabolism is better regulated. They are more likely to exercise because they have more energy. They feel less stressed because their nervous system is more balanced. And they are more focused at work or school because their brain is fully awake. All of this starts with just a few minutes of attention each morning. It doesn't require money, equipment, or special knowledge. It just requires that you step outside and let your brain and body do what they were designed to do. You don't need to force anything. You simply need to let the natural light do its job. In a world full of complicated health advice, there's something refreshing about a solution that's both simple and backed by science. Morning sunlight is one of the few things that can improve your mood, sleep, focus, and energy without needing to add anything to your life, only to return to something that humans have always relied on: the sun. So if you're feeling off, tired, unfocused, or low on energy, try this. Tomorrow morning, go outside for 10 minutes soon after you wake up. Let the light hit your eyes, notice how you feel, not just that day, but over the next few days. You might be surprised at just how much difference this small change can make. It's not magic, it's biology, and it works. Every day, we look for ways to feel better, to be more focused, to handle stress more easily, and to stay motivated when life gets tough. One simple practice that has helped many people in all these areas is cold exposure. This means doing things like taking a cold shower, stepping into a cold bath, or going outside in the cold for a short time without bundling up too much. It might sound uncomfortable, and at first it is, but there's a lot of power behind this simple act. Cold exposure doesn't just wake you up, it changes the way your brain and body work in a very positive way. To understand why cold exposure works, we need to look at how your body reacts when it feels cold. When you expose yourself to cold, even for a short time, your body sees it as a kind of challenge. It's not dangerous if done correctly, but it is stressful in a small, controlled way. This stress wakes up your nervous system, which controls how your body reacts to danger, change, and the environment around you. One of the first things that happens is that your body releases chemicals that help you stay alert and focused. These include norepinephrine and dopamine, two important substances made in your brain. Norepinephrine helps increase focus, attention, and alertness. It tightens blood vessels and gets your body ready for action. Dopamine, on the other hand, is often called the feel-good chemical. But dopamine is more than just a happiness booster. It plays a big role in motivation and drive. It helps you keep going when things get hard. When dopamine levels go up in a healthy way, you feel more willing to take action, more hopeful, and more energized. What's interesting about cold exposure is that it boosts these chemicals in a natural and powerful way. Studies have shown that after just a short exposure to cold water, dopamine levels can rise significantly, and not just for a few seconds. The increase can last for hours. This is very different from the quick dopamine hit you get from things like scrolling your phone or eating junk food. Those things bring a fast rise and fall in dopamine, which can leave you feeling tired or unmotivated afterward. Cold exposure is different. It gives a slow, strong boost that helps you stay focused and driven throughout the day. Besides raising these brain chemicals, cold exposure also trains your mind to deal with discomfort. At first, stepping into cold water feels very unpleasant. Your body might shiver, your breath might quicken, and your brain will likely say, "Get out of here." But if you stay calm and breathe slowly through the experience, you're doing something very important. You're teaching your brain that it's okay to feel uncomfortable. You're learning how to stay calm in the middle of stress. This practice builds something called resilience, which is your ability to handle tough situations without falling apart. Over time, the more you expose yourself to this small daily challenge, the stronger your mind becomes. This kind of training has a big impact on how you handle other types of stress in your life. Whether it's a hard conversation, a tough work deadline, or emotional ups and downs, your nervous system becomes more used to stress and less likely to overreact. People who regularly use cold exposure often report feeling more in control during stressful moments. They stay calmer, think more clearly, and don't get overwhelmed as easily. That's because their brain has practiced being in an uncomfortable state and staying steady. Another benefit of cold exposure is how it changes your relationship with effort. In a world where we're surrounded by comfort warm rooms, soft clothes, and endless entertainment, it's easy to lose touch with the value of doing hard things. Cold exposure is a way to bring effort back into your life in a healthy way. It's not harmful when done safely, and it gives you a chance to push yourself just a little bit each day. After you do it, you often feel a sense of pride, of strength, of "I did something difficult today." That feeling can carry over into your work, your relationships, your goals. It reminds you that you're capable of more than your brain sometimes tells you. And even though cold exposure is a physical experience, its effects are deeply mental and emotional. Many people report feeling more alive, more alert, and more positive after a cold shower or a dip in cold water. Some say it clears their mind better than a cup of coffee. Others find that it lifts their mood, especially on days when they feel sluggish or down. That's because cold exposure helps balance the chemicals in the brain that affect mood, motivation, and energy. It gives your whole system a kind of reset. You don't need special tools or a perfect routine to get started. You can simply begin by ending your normal warm shower with 30 seconds of cold water. That might be enough for the first few days. Then you can slowly increase it to 1 or 2 minutes. If you live near a cold lake or ocean, you might try a quick swim, always being careful and listening to your body. Some people use cold baths or even place cold packs on the back of the neck or upper back. The key is consistency and safety. You don't need to suffer. You just need to introduce small doses of cold in a way that challenges you without overwhelming you. Of course, it's not a magic fix. If you are struggling with deep mental health issues or physical problems, cold exposure is not a cure. But it can be a helpful tool in a bigger toolbox of habits. Along with proper sleep, good nutrition, movement, and social connection, it plays a role in keeping your brain and body healthy. Over time, this one habit can become a part of your daily rhythm, like brushing your teeth or making your bed. It becomes something you do not because it's fun, but because it works. You know that even if the day gets hard, you've already faced the cold. You've already overcome the first challenge, and that's no small thing. So if you're looking for more energy, better mood, sharper focus, or greater emotional strength, you might try what many others have. Start your day with a brief moment of cold. Step in, breathe deep, and remember, you're not just getting clean, you're getting stronger. Throughout the day, your body and brain go through natural cycles of energy and rest. These cycles are called ultradian rhythms. Most people are more familiar with circadian rhythms, which control your sleep and wake cycles over 24 hours. But within each day, your body also moves through shorter rhythms that last about 90 minutes each. These shorter cycles are just as important, especially when it comes to your ability to focus, work, and stay mentally sharp. Imagine your brain as a battery. Every 90 minutes, it becomes fully charged and ready to work hard. During that time, your focus, memory, and thinking are at their best. But after those 90 minutes, your brain starts to lose energy. You might notice it as a drop in focus. Maybe you start feeling distracted, tired, or even a little anxious. That's your body asking for a short break to reset. If you listen to this natural signal, take a rest, and then start another focus block afterward, you'll get more done without draining yourself. But if you ignore that signal and keep pushing through without rest, your performance goes down. You make more mistakes, you feel more stressed, and over time you might burn out. Understanding this pattern can help you make better choices about how you work or study. Instead of trying to push through long hours without a break, you can learn to work with your body's rhythm instead of against it. You start to treat focus like a wave, something that rises, peaks, and falls. You ride the wave when it's high and step away when it dips. This approach doesn't just feel better, it also leads to more high-quality work in less time. Let's say you want to focus on something important, a school project, writing, problem solving, or learning a new skill. You sit down and give yourself 90 minutes to focus fully. During this time, you remove distractions, you turn off notifications, you let people know you're not available, you act as if you're in a deep, quiet room where only this one task exists. For the first 10 or 15 minutes, your mind might wander. That's normal, but if you stay with it, something changes, your brain settles, you enter a state where time seems to pass faster, ideas flow more easily. You stop checking the clock. This is deep focus, and it's where your best work happens. After about 75 to 90 minutes, you'll notice the energy shift again. Your body starts to feel restless, your thoughts slow down. Maybe you start rereading the same sentence or forgetting what you were doing. That's your signal to stop. At this point, your brain needs rest, not a full nap, but a small reset. You step away for 15 to 20 minutes. You walk around, stretch, drink water, breathe deeply, or look at something far away. You let your brain return to a relaxed state. You're not being lazy, you're being smart. You're recharging so that your next 90-minute block can be just as focused as the first. This cycle of 90 minutes of work followed by 15 to 20 minutes of rest can be repeated a few times each day. Most people can do 2 or 3 deep focus blocks like this in one day. After that, the quality of thinking begins to drop, and it's better to move to lighter tasks or take a longer break. That might sound like less total time spent working, but in reality, it's often much more productive. When you focus deeply and recover properly, you finish important tasks faster and with less stress. You feel proud of your work instead of drained by it. What's powerful about this method is that it fits how your brain naturally works. You're not forcing yourself to grind for hours just to stay busy. You're using your time in a more intelligent way. People often say they don't have time to take breaks, but the truth is, working nonstop without breaks often wastes time. You end up spending hours doing something you could have done in half the time if you had just taken care of your mental energy. You might be wondering why the body works in these 90-minute waves. Scientists believe it's related to the way your brain manages attention and energy. Certain chemicals in your brain, like acetylcholine and dopamine, rise during periods of alertness and fall when rest is needed. These patterns are deeply built into your biology, not something you can simply override with willpower. You can push past them for a short time using caffeine or pressure, but doing that too often leads to exhaustion and mistakes. By working with the rhythm instead of against it, you stay healthier and get better results. Some of the most successful people in different fields, like athletes, musicians, and scientists, naturally follow this pattern. They practice or work intensely for short periods, then rest and recover. They don't wait until they're exhausted to take a break. They plan their time to match their body's energy, and that's what helps them stay excellent over time. This method isn't just for big projects or creative work. You can use it in everyday life. If you have emails to write, chores to do, or errands to run, try doing them in short blocks where you focus fully and then pause. You'll notice that you move through tasks faster and with less frustration. And at the end of the day, you feel like you've accomplished something real. Working in this way also helps protect you from burnout. Burnout doesn't usually come from working too many hours. It comes from working too many hours without real focus or recovery. You feel like you're always busy but never getting anything done. By using focused work blocks followed by real breaks, you avoid that trap. You stay connected to your goals, and you feel more satisfied with your progress. This practice also helps with your emotions. When you take breaks regularly, your stress levels stay lower. Your body has a chance to calm down, your heart rate and breathing slow, your mind clears, you stop the buildup of tension that can lead to anxiety or frustration. Over time, this can make a huge difference in how you feel, both at work and at home. The beauty of this rhythm is that it asks for nothing more than your attention and respect for your own body. No special tools or apps are needed. You just need to notice when you're at your best, protect that time, and then give yourself the space to rest afterward. The results are often surprising. Tasks feel easier, your mind feels sharper, and you enjoy your work more. So the next time you sit down to work or study, remember, your brain works best in waves. Ride those waves wisely, and they will carry you much farther than force ever will. Every day, our brains and bodies are under pressure. We think, solve problems, deal with emotions, interact with others, and try to stay focused through all kinds of distractions. On top of that, many people are not getting enough quality sleep. Over time, all this activity takes a toll. We feel tired, stressed, and sometimes even burned out. We may also notice that it's harder to learn new things, to concentrate, or to feel motivated. One way to support the brain and body in recovering from this overload is by using a simple but powerful practice called non-sleep deep rest, or NSDR for short. NSDR is a state where your body is completely relaxed, but you are not asleep. You stay aware, but your brain slows down. It is a bit like pressing the pause button for your nervous system. You're not actively doing anything, yet your brain is going through important processes that help you reset and restore your energy. Even though the name sounds technical, the idea is simple. Take a few minutes out of your day to let your mind and body deeply rest without needing to fall asleep. There are different ways to practice an SDR. One common method is to lie down or sit in a quiet place, close your eyes, and follow a guided relaxation or breathing exercise. Some people use body scans, where you slowly move your attention through different parts of your body. Others follow slow, deep breathing or listen to calming sounds or music. The point is to help your brain shift into a calmer state, somewhere between being fully awake and being asleep. During this state, your muscles are relaxed, your heart rate slows down, and your brain waves change to those seen in restful states. You are not thinking hard or solving problems. You are simply letting go. What makes NSDR so valuable is how it affects the brain. When you are in this deep resting state, your brain is able to clear out unnecessary activity. It begins to sort and organize memories, release tension, and reset certain pathways that get overloaded when we are constantly thinking or doing. This type of rest helps with something called neural recovery. Neural recovery means your brain is healing from the effort of mental work. Just like your muscles need rest after exercise, your brain needs rest after focusing, learning, or handling stress. NSDR is especially helpful for learning. When you try to learn a new skill, solve a problem, or remember new information, your brain uses a lot of energy. That learning becomes stronger not only during the practice itself, but during the recovery that follows. NSDR supports this by giving your brain the quiet space it needs to lock in what you just learned. Some studies show that even short sessions of NSDR after studying can improve memory and understanding. It is like giving your brain a moment to breathe, reflect, and store what it just took in. Another important benefit of NSDR is how it lowers stress. When we are always moving, thinking, and reacting, our body stays in a state of alertness. This constant alert state can raise stress hormones like cortisol, which over time can make us feel anxious, tired, or even sick. NSDR helps bring the body out of that alert state and into a calm one. Breathing slows, muscles let go of tension, and the mind becomes still. This has a calming effect on the whole nervous system. After even 10 to 20 minutes of NSDR, many people feel more relaxed, clearer, and lighter emotionally. It's like clearing the noise out of your mind. One of the most helpful things about NSDR is that it is short and easy to fit into almost any day. You don't need to be in a dark room or on a yoga mat. You don't need any special skills or experience. You just need a few minutes and a quiet place. Even a short 10-minute session during a lunch break, after work, or before bed can make a difference. Some people use NSDR in the middle of the day when they feel mentally drained. Others use it as a way to wind down in the evening. Some even use it in the morning to start the day with a calm, clear mind. This practice can also help with sleep. Many people have trouble falling asleep because their minds are still active at night. NSDR teaches the brain how to enter a relaxed state, which can make falling asleep easier. Even if you don't fall asleep during the practice, your body gets some of the same benefits that sleep provides. This can be very useful for people who didn't sleep well the night before or are feeling jet lagged or overwhelmed. Over time, NSDR helps train the brain to return to a calm state more quickly. It builds something like a recovery muscle in your mind. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to shift into that restful state. This can help you feel more balanced throughout the day, even during stressful times. People who practice regularly often say they feel more in control of their emotions, more mentally focused, and less reactive to everyday problems. They also report feeling more refreshed and creative, as if their mind has more space. You don't have to do everything perfectly. The important part is simply to show up and allow your body and brain to rest. You might not feel the effects right away, but with consistency, they build up. It's like giving your brain a small reset button that you can press anytime things feel overwhelming or your energy is low. Many high-performing people use NSDR not just for recovery, but to improve their ability to learn, create, and handle pressure. Whether you are a student, a professional, a parent, or someone trying to build new habits, this tool is available to you. You don't have to push all the time. You can rest deeply, even without sleep, and come back stronger. In a world that rewards constant doing, NSDR is a quiet reminder that real growth also happens in moments of stillness. Your brain needs space, your body needs calm, and your mind needs peace to do its best work. When you give yourself this gift of deep rest, without guilt, without rush, you unlock more of your own potential. So the next time you feel tired, unfocused, or overwhelmed, don't just push harder, instead, pause. Close your eyes, breathe, rest. Let your brain and body return to balance. In that quiet space, recovery happens. And from that recovery, everything else becomes possible. Every day, we face choices. Some of those choices offer quick pleasure, like checking our phone for notifications, eating something sweet, or skipping a workout to relax instead. Other choices ask for more effort first, like studying for a test, going to the gym, or working on a long project. The first type of choice gives fast satisfaction with little effort. The second takes more energy up front, but gives deeper, longer-lasting rewards later. Understanding the difference between these two types of choices can completely change how you feel, how you act, and how motivated you are. There's something important happening in your brain when you make these choices. One key part of this is a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is often called the feel-good chemical, but that's not exactly right. Dopamine doesn't just make you feel pleasure, it drives you to seek things out, it pushes you toward action, it gives you the feeling of wanting. When you are excited about something, hopeful, curious, or working hard toward a goal, dopamine is involved. It's not only about the reward, it's about the process of getting to the reward. Here's where things get interesting. The brain can get used to quick rewards very easily. When we give ourselves fast pleasure over and over again, like scrolling on social media, watching short videos, or eating snacks without being hungry, our brain starts to expect those quick hits of dopamine. But the more we feed the brain those fast rewards, the less sensitive it becomes. That means we need more stimulation to feel the same level of interest or joy. We may find that things that used to feel exciting or enjoyable, like reading a book, doing a workout, or learning something new, suddenly feel boring or hard. That's not because those things lost value. It's because our brain's reward system has become numb. One way to reverse this is by changing the way we reward ourselves. Instead of chasing pleasure first, we choose effort first. We do the hard thing first: study, exercise, focus, build, solve, and let the reward come afterward. This small shift resets the brain's relationship with dopamine. Instead of needing a reward to get started, we train the brain to find the reward in the effort itself. Over time, this strengthens something called intrinsic motivation, which means motivation that comes from inside you, not from rewards, pressure, or praise, but from the feeling that you are growing, learning, and doing something meaningful. When you delay gratification, when you wait to enjoy the reward until after the work is done, you also build mental strength. You prove to yourself that you are in control of your actions, not just pulled around by urges or habits. That makes you feel more powerful and more focused. You start to feel proud of doing the hard thing, even before the reward arrives. And because you are waiting for the reward itself becomes more enjoyable and meaningful. You feel that you earned it, and that makes a difference. Imagine a simple example. Two people want to feel better after a long day. One person immediately lies down and watches a show while snacking. The other person goes for a walk or workout first, then watches a show afterward. Both people enjoy a reward, but the second person feels better. Why? Because the reward came after effort, not before. The brain connects that reward to the hard work. This strengthens motivation and builds a healthy pattern of behavior. The same principle works with study or creative work. Let's say you decide to study for 90 minutes without distractions. You tell yourself that only after that work session you'll check your phone or have your favorite snack. That wait may feel hard at first, but something shifts inside you. You stay focused. You feel a sense of control. When you finally enjoy the reward, it feels satisfying, and over time, your brain begins to enjoy the work itself because it knows that good things come after effort, not before. This idea has been tested in many studies and also shows up in real life. People who succeed over the long term often develop this ability to wait. They don't always choose what feels good right now. Instead, they think ahead. They work now so they can enjoy later. They find ways to love the process, not just the result. That doesn't mean they never rest or enjoy life. It means they use rewards wisely. They let effort come first, then enjoy the outcome more fully. Another benefit of delaying gratification is that it reduces emotional ups and downs. When we constantly chase quick pleasure, our mood rises and falls quickly. We feel bored, then excited, then tired, then restless. But when we learn to pause, to wait, and to focus on doing something meaningful before we reward ourselves, our mood becomes more stable. We don't rely as much on outside rewards to feel good. We build a solid foundation inside ourselves. That's what creates real confidence and long-term happiness. Over time, this approach helps you feel more motivated in general. You don't need a treat or a distraction to get started. You don't need someone to promise you a reward. You start to notice the good feeling that comes from making progress. That feeling becomes its own reward. This is the heart of intrinsic motivation. You become the kind of person who enjoys learning, solving problems, helping others, or building something valuable, not because someone is watching, but because it feels right to you. This also helps you handle stress better when life is hard, and it will be. Your ability to delay pleasure and stay focused will keep you strong. Instead of escaping into comfort, you'll lean into effort. You'll know that effort brings growth and that real rewards come from patience and persistence. You'll stop depending on fast pleasures and start building something deeper, purpose. You can begin practicing this in small ways. Choose one part of your day where you delay something enjoyable until after you complete something meaningful. It could be a workout, a study session, a household task, or creative work. Notice how it feels before, during, and after. With time, you'll notice that the reward feels better and the effort feels less heavy. Your brain is learning, your dopamine system is adjusting, you're teaching yourself that the best rewards are the ones you earn. The truth is, pleasure feels best when it follows effort, rest feels better after work, food tastes better when you're truly hungry, relaxing feels better when you've done something that matters, life becomes more satisfying when you stop chasing quick highs and start building something real. So the next time you have the choice, effort first or reward first, pause, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? The answer will guide you. And if you choose effort first, even when it's hard, you're not just reaching a goal. You're changing your brain, your habits, and your future. Change can feel hard. Many people try to improve their lives by doing something new, starting a new diet, learning a skill, exercising, or breaking a bad habit. At first, they feel excited and full of hope. But after a few days or weeks, they stop. They lose motivation, get tired, or feel stuck. Then they tell themselves they just don't have enough willpower or that something must be wrong with them. But most of the time, the problem is not them. The problem is the way they are trying to change. Lasting change, the kind of change that stays with you, does not come from forcing yourself to do things that go against how your brain and body work. It comes from understanding how your brain naturally forms habits, how it responds to effort and reward, and how it handles stress and learning. When you align your daily actions with the natural way your nervous system is designed to work, change becomes easier. You don't have to push as hard. You begin to feel like you're working with your brain, not against it. The brain is made to adapt. It is always changing in response to what you do, think, and feel. This ability is called neuroplasticity. It means your brain can form new connections and pathways based on your behavior and environment. But for those changes to stick, your actions need to be repeated and meaningful. That's why habits are so powerful. A habit is simply something you do regularly without having to think about it much. Once something becomes a habit, your brain runs it like a program in the background. It no longer takes so much effort. That's why building the right habits is more important than making big, temporary changes. Small habits, done the right way, can lead to major results over time. To build lasting habits, it's important to start with actions that are small and doable. Big goals can be exciting, but they often lead to burnout if they're too hard to maintain. The brain likes progress, but it also likes safety. When something feels overwhelming, the brain sees it as a threat and resists. That's why change should feel challenging but not crushing. If you want to start exercising, begin with just 5 minutes a day. If you want to read more, start with 2 pages. These small steps may seem too simple, but they work because they allow your brain to say yes instead of no. Once a habit is started, it can grow. The most important part is consistency. Another part of the brain that plays a big role in habit formation is dopamine. This brain chemical helps you stay motivated. It increases when you expect something rewarding, but it's not just about pleasure. Dopamine helps you stay focused, interested, and driven when you use it the right way. By linking small wins and effort to feelings of reward, you can train your brain to enjoy the process of change. For example, if you complete a task, take a moment to feel good about it. That simple act of noticing your progress helps your brain want to repeat the behavior. It's like giving yourself a mental high five. This reinforces the habit loop. Cue, action, reward, and makes the new habit stronger. Your brain also likes rhythm. It works well when your daily routine has a certain structure. That's why it helps to do certain habits at the same time each day. Whether it's writing, stretching, meditating, or learning, doing it at the same time helps your brain expect it and prepare for it. It becomes automatic. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't argue with yourself every night about it because it's part of your routine. You want your new habits to feel just as natural. It's also important to manage stress while changing habits. When the brain is under stress, it goes into survival mode. That means it becomes harder to learn, focus, or stick with a new routine. That's why it helps to include calming practices in your day. Things like slow breathing, time in nature, gentle movement, or quiet rest. These activities help calm the nervous system, so your brain is more open to change. When you feel safe and steady, your mind is better able to adapt and grow. Sleep also plays a huge role in lasting change. When you sleep, your brain goes to work strengthening memories, clearing out waste, and restoring energy. If you are learning something new or building a new habit, sleep helps lock in that learning. Without enough sleep, it's harder to control impulses, make decisions, or stay motivated. That's why even the best habits won't last if your sleep is poor. Getting enough rest is not a luxury, it's a foundation. The good news is that even a few small changes done consistently can reset the way your brain works. And once your brain starts to change, your thoughts and actions follow. You might notice that you're more focused, calmer, or more motivated. You may feel more confident in your ability to keep promises to yourself. That creates a cycle of success. The better you feel, the more likely you are to keep going. And the more you keep going, the more deeply the new habit gets wired into your brain. Lasting change also works best when it is tied to something meaningful. If you know why you want to change, not just what you want to do, it gives your brain a reason to stay committed. For example, you may want to eat better, not just to lose weight, but to have more energy to play with your kids or to stay healthy as you get older. That emotional reason gives your habit power. Your brain remembers things that are tied to emotion, especially strong positive emotion. So, when you connect your habit to something you care about, it becomes stronger and more meaningful. One of the most powerful things you can do is to believe that change is possible. That belief itself starts to shape your behavior. When you act as if you are someone who can change, your brain begins to build that new identity. The actions may be small, but over time, they shape the kind of person you become. You don't need to wait for a perfect moment. You don't need to be perfect at it. You just need to begin, stay consistent, and let your brain do what it's designed to do. Adapt, grow, and change. In the end, real change isn't about forcing yourself to be someone else. It's about understanding how your brain and body work, then building small actions that fit with that design. When you align your habits with how you're built, you unlock a kind of power that feels natural and lasting. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter in harmony with your biology. That's when change sticks, that's when growth feels possible, that's when the life you want becomes the life you live. So as you move forward, remember this: you don't need to completely reinvent yourself overnight. You don't need to rely on motivation that fades or willpower that runs dry. What you need is a clear understanding of how your brain works and the willingness to work with it, not against it. Small actions, repeated consistently and rooted in the science of how you're wired, can lead to extraordinary change. Your brain is not fixed, it's not limited, it's waiting for direction. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your biology, whether it's taking a deep breath instead of reacting, choosing effort before ease, or staying consistent instead of chasing perfection, you are rewiring yourself for strength, clarity, and purpose. The life you want isn't far away. It's built, one decision at a time, by habits that respect your nature and support your growth. Start simple, stay consistent, trust the process, because when your habits align with who you truly are, change doesn't just happen, it lasts. Thank you.